What's up, everyone? Aaron Nagler here for PackersNews.com, live on Facebook late Monday afternoon. McCarthyist talk, the locker room has been open, the internet is abuzz, all sorts of things to talk about. Packers have released 3 players per the transaction wire, and then later confirmed by the Packers via announcement. Colby Pearson, Derek Hart, and William Stanback. We hardly knew ye. So I thought I'd jump on here late Monday afternoon and talk to you fine folks, see what's on your mind, answer any questions you might have. Joan, hello. How are you? You may hear the dulcet tones of my next door neighbor's baby crying at some point. It's been off and on for the last 15 minutes. Can't really wait on the baby. Or my fine children who are running up and down the hall outside my door here. So maybe some background noise today, but I'm ready. I'm ready to play through it all just for you fine folks. How are you? Jade, thanks. Kyle, sup? Andy, that's awfully forward of you, but I love you too. Alex, how little did you care about the fight? A lot of a little. McCaffrey going to make the cut? Kent, I doubt it. I've kind of maintained the same position on Max McCaffrey throughout the entire camp. I think he's a perfect practice squad candidate, but unless he can offer them something more on special teams, I don't see him making the 53. Sign Brooks yet? Sean, he's not coming in until tomorrow, so hard to sign him before you see him. You got to think they're going to put him through the paces, probably give him a workout, and then talk money. And let's face facts here. Brooks has got him kind of a bit of leverage on his side with Mike McCarthy apparently, and then Kyler Fackrell apparently confirming that Clay Matthews may be banged up too after that Denver game. We knew Nick Perry was. We saw him go out, but McCarthy and Fackrell both indicated today in the locker room and at the podium that Clay Matthews may be dealing with something. Now, we haven't heard anything from the Packers. I've asked directly and been given no response, so we don't really know there, but the fact remains that if Brooks is there and he knows that they desperately need bodies at the outside linebacker, he can drive a hard bargain if he wants to. Denver's reportedly interested in his services, and I'm sure the other teams are as well, so we shall see. Can't let Brooks leave, says Jason. Well, it all depends. Are you really ready to vastly overpay? Because I doubt Ted Thompson is. Any chance they sign him? Yeah, I think there's a decent chance. The need is definitely there. With the injuries and the ineffective play of the backups, I don't doubt that signing him is very realistic. Who do you think the Packers are planning on cutting Saturday? That's a pretty long list. Check back on Saturday. Why not Dwight Freeney? Because he's pretty darn old and he only can do one thing. Now, granted, he does that one thing well, and that is the kind of thing that I would probably do, but Ted Thompson will not. Yeah, no one's trading Hundley and or Cobb for Richardson, so just calm down with those fireworks emojis. What about Coney Ely? He was claimed by the Jets on waivers, so he has gone from the penthouse to the outhouse in one fell swoop. Rodgers needs to be protected more. Well, Garrett, they have an excellent offensive line. You just saw the problems once one of them goes down. In Denver there, Brian Bulaga obviously didn't start, so you've got Jason Spriggs and Kyle Murphy, and Jason Spriggs had a major issue with Von Miller. Now, every offensive tackle in the league has had a major issue with Von Miller, so it's hard to kill him for that. However, later in the game, he had all sorts of trouble with all sorts of different guys. And right now, if you're the Packers, there is absolutely no way you can walk out Jason Spriggs in a live game and expect him to hold up without help. And that means you have to change a good part of your offense. And as Pete Doherty wrote at PackersNews.com this morning, and I'm sure you have all checked it out, and if you haven't, you should, you can't operate like that. McCarthy, his whole offense is predicated upon leaving those offensive tackles on an island for the majority of the time. And if Spriggs is out there, it's going to be a fire drill, and Rodgers is going to be running for his life. So you got to think Kyle Murphy is the first up, but even young Kyle has definitely shown growing pains. Sanjay, how are you? Who's going to be our starting corners? Victor, that's a good question. I still think Devon House is in line to start week 1. And then opposite him is the real question. I tend to think right now Devarius Randall is probably your leader in the clubhouse, with Quentin Rollins being the guy in the slot to start. Now, after that, I think a lot of it will depend on matchups, and a lot will depend on who they're playing and what kind of matchups Capers thinks are best for his squad. And don't discount Kevin King. I mean, I don't think he starts right away, but I think it will be a question of when, not if, he cracks the starting lineup. Is Barkley going to be ready for opening day? Well, McCarthy said he seems to have that hope and seems to think that that's probably what's going to happen. Barkley should be ready. Bulaga should be ready. He called himself the captain of hope today when asked by Tom Silverstein about Vince Beagle in particular, but he was talking about all his players. So obviously McCarthy is hopeful. As he said, I'm not the one to talk to because they will all say that they want to play, but obviously the medical staff are the ones who will have final say. Remember when Elvis Dumerville was available, Ryan? I sure do. Now I was kind of beating that drum, but no one listens to me. What do you think of Callahan? I think he needs a really good showing on Thursday night to keep a job in Green Bay. Do you think the Packers have enough edge rushing talent and productivity to balance their youth at cornerback? No. When does the 1-800 outside linebacker start? I think it started today. I cannot believe we are hoping on Barkley to play anywhere on the O-line. Yikes. Well, Ray, yeah. I mean, I've been saying it all summer. You know, I get that Barkley struggles at tackle. He is serviceable at guard, and he is serviceable at center. And you now see what happens when you go a notch below Barkley and why they signed Barkley to a contract. You know, the NFL is not just, you know, these guys aren't just growing on trees that you can throw out there. They find a talented guy who can play multiple positions on the cheap. That's a good signing. And this is exactly why. You see the lack of depth there, or the lack of development there. And you see why Barkley is, was a valuable signing. Now, the flip side to this, of course, is the fact that the Packers have, kind of allowed an exodus of talent, whether it was cutting Josh Sitton, allowing TJ Lang to walk and not giving him an extra $2 million, or letting J.C. Treader hit the market, which I can't really kill him for that because he was pretty determined to hit the market because he knew he was going to get paid big money. But you see, you let those three guys walk out the door, now you see the kind of shallow end of the pool, so to speak, when it comes to the depth along the offensive line. So, the Spriggs thing is really hurting them because when you trade up to get a guy, and the whole idea is for him to take care of either side, tackle-wise, and he is all of a sudden struggling mightily in year 2, well, that throws a wrench in your plan, no doubt. Brett Hundley is not Aaron Rodgers, does not equal Brett Hundley being trash. Kid can play a bit. I agree with that sentiment wholeheartedly. Not feeling real good about the outside linebackers or the O-line. Say something to cheer me up. They're still going to win 11 to 12 games and have a shot at the Super Bowl. How's that? Hey, Bonnie. How are you? How's Jamal Williams looking? Kyle is looking good. I think all three of the rookie running backs are looking good. I said on Twitter this weekend, I was going back, I watched the game again a couple times, and I tell you what, I think Devontae Mays is my favorite of the three. But I think all three of them have shown that they definitely belong in the NFL and can play in the NFL. It's really going to come down to pass protection, how sure they are assignment-wise, and, just coaches, I guess, and personnel, obviously, their preference. Mays make the 53? Oh, and he would for me, but, it's entirely up to the personnel and coaching staffs, and they have one more week of practice and a game to make that determination, so we'll see. Roosevelt Calvin surprise roster spot? Andrew, I doubt it. He hasn't done much of anything all summer, really. He hasn't really done anything in the preseason games either. How good is Brooks? Randy, he's serviceable. He would give them, a steady veteran presence, a guy who brings some power. He's a bit stiff, but I tell you what, he knows how to rush the passer. He'll be able to take advantage of lesser tackles. He can't really flip his hips at all anymore and track downfield. That's where teams have really taken advantage of him. But, given the state of their outside linebacking core, he would definitely be an asset and somebody that would help. He's a bit of a loose cannon. He is in the he's under the watchful eye of the NFL at the moment due to the personal conduct policy. He has charges pending from a 2014 incident that will most likely not even have a trial date until September. But so there's that. He once punched a teammate in Cincinnati, along with a veritable, kind of smorgasbord of other things. The guy's a bit of a loose cannon, so I'd be very interested to see how he ingratiates himself into the locker room, so to speak. How much would he cost? Well, there's no way of knowing. Now, like I said at the beginning of the video, if he knows the state that the Packers are in outside linebacker-wise, and he knows that he has interest other places, we know that Denver, at least, is the one other reported spot that, one other reported team that's interested in him. He knows he's got a bit of leverage. He can drive a hard bargain. And if we've seen time and time again from Ted Thompson's going to have a line and he's going to draw it. And if Brooks says, well, or his reps say, well, we think we can do better elsewhere, they'll go elsewhere. Are you surprised by Good making the team? Brandon, no. Man, I tell you what, once family night happened, Hart was in trouble. I mean, just the amount of missed kicks, like all in a row, and it was just came out of nowhere. I'm not going to say they panicked, but come on, they had Brett Good on speed dial after that, and Good came in, and that was pretty much it. Once you just missed a couple, and they started talking about quote unquote the operation being the snap, the hold, and the kick. Well, the holds look fine, the kicks look fine, so you do the math. I have liked Devontae May since we drafted him, as athleticism is undeniable. I agree. Vogel a lock? Matt, I wouldn't put him at a lock yet. I think he's a good bet, but I wouldn't say a lock. I think he needs another good week of practice and a more consistent game under his belt. But don't think for a second that if Saturday comes and there's a punter or two available on the wire, or just released, and the Packers think, or Ted Thompson thinks more specifically, that punter would be an upgrade. Don't think for a second that Thompson would cut Vogel and go a new direction. Is Janis a lock? Phil, I don't think he's a lock. I think he's a good bet. I think he's really helped himself this preseason. His special teams play obviously helps him, but I can't say he's a lock. Not at wide receiver, not with the depth of talent there. But he's a good bet. Dupree, Mason, I'm betting Dupree is on the practice squad. That injury really cost him. He's missed a good chunk of time. Hasn't really shown much in practice and or in preseason games. He's made a play or two, but nothing consistently. And he's missed on some opportunities. So I would tend to think, he's a 7th round pick. Putting him on the practice squad, no one's going to pick this guy up. I think practice squad is in his future. Ray Hoare, what's up, buddy? Who goes opposite of Bennett in the tight end spot? I think it'll be a mix. I know Kendricks has gotten a lot of publicity, and Rodgers has kind of been the forgotten guy. Although, if you look at Denver, it's pretty clear Rodgers was getting the bulk of the third team's work. But I think Bennett and Kendricks will get a lot of work, and I think Rodgers will kind of mix in with Kendricks a little bit. But I don't think it'll be too defined. With no good O-line depth, are we in trouble with injuries? Bulaga is supposedly going to be okay for week 1, and if that holds up, then they should be okay. But yes, the moment someone goes down in that offensive line, they're going to be in some trouble. If they keep 7, I think Yancey makes the 53. Oh, and I agree. I think of the two, late round guys that they drafted between Yancey and Dupree, I think he's shown much more. And some of that is opportunity, but some of that is him making the most of those opportunities, which I mentioned before. Dupree really hasn't. Anything on Ahmad Brooks? He's coming in tomorrow, Ryan. Watch this space. Keep it locked at Pack. You know what? Here's what I suggest. I suggest you put your computer on PackersNews.com right now and just keep hitting refresh all night into tomorrow, just into tomorrow night, just to be safe. You keep doing that, we'll have you covered. Who's out there that we can sign the O-line position? Chris, check back after the Saturday cuts, or Friday night cuts into Saturday. Remember, at the end of this week, for the first time ever, the NFL rosters are going to go from 90-man to 53-man, which means over 1,000 players are going to be on the street in one fell swoop. And you can bet this week is going to be hell on earth for the personnel department in Green Bay. They're going to be kind of going over every roster to see their own projections of who they think might be available. They're going to be calling their friends all around the league, personnel-wise, and trying to get a gauge of, hey, are you guys looking at releasing this guy, or do you think there'll be any help for us here, blah, 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 blah. All those calls are being made all throughout this week, and you can absolutely bet the Packers are going to be looking very hard, both at offensive line and outside linebacker. Are the legal issues facing Brooks a potential deal breaker? Only Ted Thompson can answer that. I will say this. Back in 2014, when this incident first occurred and McDonald was on the street, one of the personnel guys at 1265 Lombardi and I were chatting, and he said, well, do you think people would go crazy if we signed McDonald? And at the time, McDonald was headline news. It was a big deal because the personal conduct policy had just come into existence, and the league's focus on domestic violence had just started. And this guy asked me, he said, do you think Green Bay would go nuts if we signed this guy? And I said, absolutely. And he said, well, because I really want to sign him, but I know Ted won't do it in a heart at all. Ted won't do it. Now, that was 2014. Now, fast forward to now, here and now, obviously McDonald still has, or I'm sorry, Brooks still has this legal issue pending, hanging over him. And they are bringing him in for a visit. So clearly, the need here is great enough that they are willing to either deal with or ask him about the incident in question. You know, again, only Ted Thompson can tell you this, and obviously nobody. He keeps very close counsel. I think maybe he and maybe Russ Ball have any kind of idea when it comes to a player's past, a player's off-field stuff. I have little doubt they're doing their homework, but you can only really wait and see. Will Cobb make it? Yes, Dennis. Any chance Hundley gets dealt and we keep Hill as the second quarterback, maybe for defense? No, Randy. They're not gonna deal Hundley unless it's an insane deal. Unless someone offers them a star outside linebacker and a first-round pick. It's too good to ignore. It's too good to turn down. Then they'll make the deal. But I'm going to give you a spoiler alert here. No one's offering that deal. Weren't outside linebackers supposed to be the strength of a 3-4 or a 3-3-5 nickel defense? If so, we're in trouble. Well, you'd like them to be. You'd like them to be your best pass rushers, which is why I've said all offseason, because of the dearth of talent there, they're going to have to be counting on Dom Capers. And there's a reason you've seen so much blitzing from the Packers in preseason. It's because they have to practice it, because they're going to be doing it a lot. We better keep Taysom Hill. Muhammad, I don't think they're going to keep him. I think they'll put him on the practice squad. But I highly doubt either he or Callahan, whichever one they decide to keep around, I don't think there's any way they make the 53. They've just got way too many needs other places to waste a roster spot on a guy who's never going to dress. Thoughts on Hundley combined with a decent pick? I don't know. Bring A.J. Hawk out of retirement. There you go, Justin. Now you're thinking outside the box. Are the Packers really confident in Hundley as their number 2 quarterback? Yes. They have spent a lot of they've sent a lot of defensive backs on blitzes. Exactly. It's practice. Capers told us at the beginning of the summer, in past years, he's kind of kept things hidden and hasn't really worked on stuff in the preseason, not wanting to put it on tape and things like that. This summer, all those bets are off. He wants those guys to have game, not only kind of game experience running some of this stuff, but he wants the tape for corrections and for teaching. So, yeah, that's why you've seen a lot of blitzing from the defensive backs and just in general. BJ Raji, there it is, Scott. I can't believe I've been talking this long. That's the first BJ Raji mention I've gotten. Do you see Green Bay trading a wide receiver? It's possible. I doubt it just because trades are so rare and, Ted Thompson is so stingy about his own guys. But it's a possibility. If someone calls with a really intriguing offer, they know where the Packers are kind of shallow, so to speak, whether it's offensive line or outside linebacker. If someone calls with an offer that is intriguing, yeah, they could make a deal, but I'm not holding my breath on that. Are the cuts related to making room for Brooks? Peter, not really. I know that for those who are wondering what that is regarding, the Packers announced earlier today they have released wide receiver Colby Pearson, running back William Stanback, and long snapper Derek Hart. I think they're just giving those guys kind of a head start because they know there's no way they're going to make the squad, and B, just getting their personnel group a head start. Those are the first kind of determinations of, all right, it's time to move on and get down from 90 to 53. I want Green Bay to get Charles Woodson. Muhammad, I just go back a couple years and, pretend like it's happening all over again. Will Steve Warren beat out Bryce and Ringo? Let's hope so. What impact will Vince have when he gets back? Maybe better pass rush too? Randy, I would caution thinking that much is going to come of Vince Beagle early on, other than help on special teams. This guy has sat basically the entirety of camp and hasn't played any snaps from scrimmage. So it's going to be a while. And then he's going to be coming back just in time for the regular season where they're in pads once a week. Actually, not even that much. They're about 14 times per the year. So, yeah, I wouldn't expect a whole lot out of Vince Beagle initially. Matt, I was late. Aaron, is 52 hurt too? Matt, that's a good question. Sure sounds like it from what McCarthy said this morning, and then you coupled that with Kyler Fackrell mentioning it in the locker room. Sure sounds like it, but we got no indication from the Packers, who usually do give us an update on game day afterwards. We got guys are in concussion protocol, or this guy's dealing with an ankle, or this guy's dealing with a knee. We never got anything on Clay Matthews, so it is weird. Maybe it popped up later, I don't know. But Bill, they did not sign Brooks. He's not in for his visit until tomorrow. All this talk about D, we better hope A-Rod doesn't get killed. I get this concern, obviously, but that's true every single snap. That's true no matter who's out there being played. I mean, we talk about, Jason Spriggs got beat by Von Miller. Well, guess what? Brian Bulaga got beat by Von Miller back in the day. Brian Bulaga got beat by Bruce Irvin. David Bakhtiari got beat by Dwight Freeney. I mean, the guys get beat. It happens, and Aaron Rodgers is still walking around throwing the football. So, yes, absolutely. Got to keep Aaron Rodgers healthy, no doubt. But this idea that, if one guy gets injured, it's all over. Yes, it's complicated, and yes, you've got to adjust. But, the Packers went 15-1 with Marshall Newhouse at left tackle. That's Aaron Rodgers, y'all. That's how good he is. Getting the ball out, knowing where his protection may break down, knowing when he's got to get out of the pocket, etc. I mean, yes, is it a concern? Of course it is. But, it's not this, oh my gosh, he's going to get killed thing. Just got to run the ball better, keep D fresh. Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment, although this is Mike McCarthy and Aaron Rodgers. They always talk about wanting to run the ball more. They're like the Miami Dolphins when they had Dan Marino back in the day. Every summer out of Miami, it was, we're going to run the ball more. We got to protect Dan. We got to run the ball more. And then, by October or November, they're slinging it like 45 times a game. And that's back in the 80s. So, yeah, I know the running game always gets lip service, but in their heart of hearts, they're always going to be a pass-first offense, and they're always going to lean that way. Packers lead the NFL in injuries even before the regular season starts. Harold, I suggest you do your homework and, heck, go look at the Chargers injury report or the Ravens injury report or any injury report around the league. The Packers are actually very healthy comparative to other teams. Any chance Geronimo Allison stays off the 53 after week 1? I suppose, yeah, there's a chance, but I doubt it. I would tend to think he will be on the squad. He's running more on special teams now, which obviously makes him a little more valuable. And I think they love him as a player. So while, yes, is it a possibility? Absolutely. But do I see it happening? No, I think he'll be there week 2. Everyone is concerned about running the ball. If Rodgers, we will do just fine passing all over everyone. For the most part, yeah. I think later in the year you do have to run the ball. But, yeah, I agree to most of the extent. We know they're going to have to score 35 points a game. Who cares about the defense? It's hard to disagree. Did they sign Brooks? No, Jason, they don't meet with Brooks until tomorrow. I'm going to, make a gif of me saying that. Montgomery ran well at Denver. Yeah, Sarah, I thought so. I thought he ran really well, especially that 25-yarder. And as Larry McCarron pointed out on the Packers website, on that run, they make contact. First, after initial contact, Montgomery gains 19 more yards. That's pretty impressive. Any news on Brooks? He comes in tomorrow. They haven't met with him yet. Somebody find Mario Williams. We need depth. I'm for that. I'm all for that idea. At this point, what could it hurt? But again, that's something I would do. Ted Thompson would not. What's up? What's up, Joshua? Montgomery complements the pass game very well. Torrey, I agree. I think he's the absolute X factor. His ability to split out, his ability to put them all over the formation, gives defenses headaches, and he will continue to give defenses headaches all year. Wow. Is that for me, Sarah? Or is that for somebody else? All running game is important. Green Bay has a couple quite decent guys to run. It'll be the offensive line helping this happen. I tend to agree. I thought Ty was too small to play running back. Ray Hoare, you sarcastic genius, you. Who is tight end 2 right now? It's Kendricks, probably. But I tend to think they'll mix it up with Rodgers quite a little bit. So we'll never be able to rush with 4 on third down, question mark? I wouldn't say that. They're going to have to mix it up, and they will absolutely attempt to. And I think Nick Perry will get his, and Clay Matthews will get his. But for the most part, they're going to probably have to rely on pressure. What Packer game are you most looking forward to seeing this season? The last one, Amy. Don't kill me, people! Evening, Josh. You've arrived just in time for my exit. Sorry, everyone. I got to get going. I'm sorry if I didn't get to your questions. Thanks so much for joining me. Make sure you're checking PackersNews.com. As I suggested to someone earlier, just keep it on PackersNews.com. Keep hitting refresh all night for the latest on Ahmad Brooks. That's what you really need to do, and we'll have it for you. So just keep refreshing basically for the next 24 hours. And, you know, when it's ready and when it's popping and when the news is out there, we'll have it for you. Seriously, though, thanks so much, everyone. And I'll be back tomorrow. So possibly at this point tomorrow afternoon, we'll be talking about a new signing for the Green Bay Packers. Or we'll be talking about the Packers not signing someone. Either way, we'll be talking Packers. Thanks a lot, everyone. Have a good night.